I now formally nominate Mr. Webster for the communication? Can I do both of them at the same time?
Yeah.
And Mr. Bowers for the communication subcommittee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now I'll have a motion for the evaluation subcommittee.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so someone has to nominate. Can you?
Well, we have
No,
to vote on the.
discussion
All right,
and then-
we have to establish the committee before,
we have to-
subcommittee before,
Yeah.
right, all right. Any further discussion on the evaluation subcommittee? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous?
And I would nominate Ms. Ericetti and Mr. Webster,
No.
Mr. Bowers,
Yes, correct.
to serve on the subcommittee.
Have a second? Okay. Any further motion and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
What's going to be the actual name then of the evaluation? Is it going to be superintendent or just evaluation?
I would like to just call it the evaluation subcommittee, because then we can talk both about school committee goals and also, right. If you want to either look at your calendar and then maybe email us to schedule, I don't know if we can do that now with emailing. Oh yeah, we can schedule them, I think we can schedule, yeah, on email,
No discussion.
but no discussion.
It didn't rule out faxing,
Right, faxing, but I don't have a fax anymore, so.
scanning.
And and then we'll play it by ear on the policy subcommittee.
Yes.
Anything else on subcommittees? That's great. Next is the open meeting law changes. Kathy and I talked about this also. I think it's, the good thing is, especially when I was looking through the minutes and other areas, we comply with most of these already. Some of the changes include, in terms of posting time, the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays now excluded, so you have to post earlier because Saturday and Sunday, you can't post Friday for a Monday meeting, because Saturdays and Sundays don't count anymore. You have to post, I think, Wednesday for a Monday meeting, correct?
We can post by Thursday.
By Thursday, okay.
Yes.
I did want to go over a few of these, and especially the minutes. The minutes now ask for a list of all documents and other exhibits that are used at the meeting. Do we already do that? Do we list all the documents? We now have to.
Okay, so we've got to list all of these.
So any document that is in the packet has to be listed now in the minutes. And I just simply put documents and then just list them all.
Not
And
okay.
I assume anything that's handed out in addition
Right, so
should
like,
also be listed.
so
Open
Cliff-
school.
right, if someone comes in and hands out something, or like Cliff passed around the chemical substance abuse or the participation policy, all that has to be listed. The other thing on minutes, it talks about, and I think we do this, it says a summary of all topics discussed at the public meeting. I think what we do now is summarizing. I don't think there's any need to put any more information in there. We include decisions made and actions taken, including record of all votes.
Yeah, I think we execute that part nicely.
Right, so I think we're all set on minutes. The other thing, and Kathy mentioned it earlier, is that at least a reasonable facsimile of the agenda now has to be included with the meeting posting. It does not have to have every topic on it, but I was speaking earlier before the meeting started that there was an email that came around today from the MASC listserv from Michael Gilbert, and it was wording to be put on each agenda that states that there are items not on the agenda that could be discussed, and there are items on the agenda that might not be discussed within the bounds of the new open meeting law, just to cover ourselves. An important one is they've really gotten specific on email, and that the only thing email can be used for is to set up meeting dates, distribute meeting agendas, schedule information, and distribution of other procedural materials, reports, or documents that may be discussed at the open meeting. In the past, the kind of law or rule was that if it was only two members having email between each other, it really wasn't a meeting, or it really wasn't a public document. Well, now it is. So we have to make sure that we don't carry on any business at all on email. I know Jerry won't have a problem with that.
No,
You thinking of getting on?
But I do have a problem. I think it was getting a little out of control everywhere. I
Right.
think that's why we have this,
Right.
because you start having discussions about issues or topics.
Right.
It becomes what they consider deliberations.
Exactly.
That's the whole key here, is if you start deliberating.
Exactly.
By email, it's not a public meeting anymore.
How is this connected with the listserv? I mean,
That's
if we-
interesting.
I know.
If you get to the listserv, I mean, you've got multiple people from this committee or other committees that might connect into a listserv item.
And we're all debating issues on that
And
mask
basically,
listserv.
everything on there is a.
But I'm not sure they're issues
Yeah,
specific to
thing.
the business that we're conducting here necessarily.
Well, they cover race to the top, they cover federal and state
I think
funding.
you have to
What
be
was
careful
your
with it.
contract, you know?
Contracts?
Yeah,
I think you have to
mean,
be careful with it. I think if it's informational, it's one thing. If you're debating and deliberating.
It's
on
definitely
issues,
much more than informational, the mask
If-
listserv.
And particularly if you're
pretty
tying in
hotbed.
with your own members.
It's a debating society.
Yes, that's what it is.
And there have been, as I've said before, there have been times when I really wanted to chime in on an item, but
You saw
we'd
Jim
already
Marine,
had two
right?
members on, and I wasn't about to make the third member.
Cliff didn't want to have a quorum on the listserv, which was a
Right.
good idea.
And,
I'm gonna stop posting.
I do think that it's been, since I've joined it, it's been mostly information.
Most of it is,
Yeah.
most of it is.
I haven't seen a debate yet, or.
Well, you will, well, maybe you won't.
Maybe the fall will
And if
start
you-
everything up
you
again,
shouldn't-
or.
If you get engaged in anything, you probably shouldn't be on with other members from your committee.
It's hard to avoid, but, so that's an interesting, I'm sure Mask is gonna take a look at that, because since Mike Gilbert is active with this open meeting law, I'm sure he's gonna be taking a look at that.
and they have a blog site, but I'm not sure you can chime in on that.
No, I don't think you can. You can make comments, but it's not as conducive to a debate
To a
as the
debate.
listserv is, right?
And some of the things that have gone on in the listserv are truly a debate of issues.
Right.
And typically, they're not within a single committee.
Right.
We happen to have members that were pretty involved with listserv, so
Right.
we got to show up more often together.
A couple of the key changes, the state attorney general is now responsible for enforcing the open meeting law as opposed to district attorneys in the various counties. And then there's a long list of changes related to executive sessions, what you can have executive sessions for and what you cannot, wording used for, there's numerous motions for various topics that can be covered under executive session, and suggested wording as to how to make those motions to go into executive session to discuss those issues. I think I think we've been pretty good. I do think the email was an issue, and I think it's clear now you can't use email for anything. Kathy, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to call out in these.
I think just prior to the meeting this evening, you were talking about the roll call vote to go into executive session.
correct.
If you wanted to.
Right, that, you now, even if we only have 3 members here, and as Jerry said, when would this ever happen? But if there are 3 members here and only 2 of us want to go into executive session, we can't go into executive session. It has to be a majority of the total board, regardless of how many board members are present. So, it's interesting, I don't quite follow why they did that, but.
Let me ask you this then, if there's a vote with only 3 members, do you need a majority of the entire board or a majority of the quorum for
That's
a
actually,
vote?
that's actually a good question.
That's even more
Because that means only
important, 'cause that
2
can
people are
happen.
voting for an issue, if
Right,
only
if
3
it's a
members
2-to-1
here.
vote,
Right.
does it
It would have to
carry?
be unanimous of the quorum.
Well, I
according
just
to
don't
what
know.
you're
I mean, they were
saying.
talking about going into executive session. Now it's, if you vote in executive session, does it have to be, because that can
That's
happen.
not clear to me
Right.
at all. We need to clarify that.
Just,
That has to be clarified, that's
is
a
that
good
if you have
question.
a 2-to-1 or
I don't think it makes any sense if it's all 3 people. If there are
I
only
would
3
agree.
people there, that's
I would agree, but I'd
insane.
like to just find out, yeah.
So it is, you need the majority vote to get into executive session, but it doesn't talk about when you're in
Right,
executive
right,
session.
because
And I
you-
agree with Karen, you would assume that if it takes a majority of the entire 5-person board to enter the executive session, then does it take a majority, 3 votes?
Right.
To carry a
When you're in
motion
session.
in executive session?
Right. Can you look into that?
I will.
Although,
Okay.
can we really make motions in executive
I think you
session?
can.
We have to come back out.
That's a
No,
good
you
question.
can make, you
Yeah.
can make motion, we have.
All right, all right, yeah.
Any other questions on the, as I said, the good news is we've been following most of these prior to them being enacted, so I think we're in good shape. And both Barbara Stats sent around a summary, and then Mike Gilbert from Mask has a really good summary, except the big mask across the page makes it difficult to read some of the things in here, but.
Yeah, can we request that this be sent around in an electronic format without the MASC?
Yeah, that would be, yeah, if we could get that, that would be helpful. Although
I know
you-
how they did it in Word, and I can tell you this,
They might actually be up on the Mask blog,
really?
yeah,
I
the
haven't
Mask
seen it.
website, so,
Nonetheless,
But
I should
we
circulate
should-
a clean,
right.
unsullied copy.
Okay, next we have the, and I like this, the 2010-11 school committee meeting schedule.
This is very refreshing, thank you.
Yep. And I think they're all on Mondays but one, right?
Exactly, they're all on Mondays but one. Due to Columbus Day, it would be October 12th instead of October 11th. So we follow the second and the fourth Monday, except for December. And I just want to bring your attention to that. And I did ask what has been history in the district regarding December for the second and the fourth Monday.
Right.
Because the fourth Monday would fall during that holiday week.
Vacation, right?
So what you see in front of you is December 6th, which is the first Tuesday, would be page 17. It follows the MASC. It's the, December 6th would be the first Tuesday, and December 20th would be the first Monday and the third Monday.
Yeah.
So if that's okay with the committee. I just wanted you to see the dates, if there were any conflicts, before we publish this as a final.
I think that's fine. The one other thing I'll ask, which we also discussed, was this year we did not do it, but getting back on the schedule of meeting at the, at the schools besides the middle school, and obviously we have the middle school here, and also working with the principals on the kind of format that we'll have for those presentations, or for those meetings. I think they're important for each school to be able to show what they're doing. And they've worked really well. So if you can just fit those into this schedule.
Okay, do you have a preference for one a month, or do you want to meet for 5 consecutive meetings in?
No, not consecutive. I think what we're doing is once every month or 2
Once
months.
every-
Yeah,
something
once
like
every
that,
month or
yeah.
2
So we
months,
hit
yeah.
all 4 schools.
And because the
all 5
middle
schools.
school, it's just, we have
We're
John
doing-
just comes here with his group, John Fauché.
So it's
Okay.
really 4 meetings
Right.
during the course of the year at the other 4 schools.
Right.
That's the way we did it.
And for purposes of history, and Mel and I talked a little bit about this, the principal would attend the meeting, and
Yeah.
there would be some kind of a presentation.
Yeah.
Right. I do think,
I
and.
mean, the
and-
shorter the better, no.
No. I do think we've had great meetings at the other schools.
We have. They've really
but-
gotten into it.
And they've really gone all out.
They
But
have.
I do think that it's been prolonged a little bit, and I think if we could give them a pretty good, tight agenda of what we want to see. If you want to have the chorus sing a couple songs, that's fine, but you can't, I don't think we want to have the chorus and then a drama group and then,
But they've
just.
done a great job.
Pick one.
Right, they've done a great job.
It's been a competition.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
And-
who can best.
Right, and we're not really looking for competition, we're just looking for what's going on at the schools. And they've all shown great stuff.
And they usually have like refreshments there.
Yeah, that's really important, the refreshments,
They do.
cookies,
Cookies,
cake.
everything.
Yeah.
No plastic red cups.
Yeah.
Yes, no plastic bread cups, and we'll fill you in on that later.
But they really get into it.
And we're hoping that you might rescind the no cupcake policy, but that's something we can talk to you about today.
And our policy subcommittee did.
Don't dare. So we want some parameters around the agenda.
Yeah.
Keep it a little tighter than in what it's been
I
in the
think
past.
so. I
Speak
mean,
with the principals about what.
It was all good material, but it seemed like the second year, we did it for 2 years, and the presentations were getting longer and longer and longer. And I think just, if you keep it, say within a half hour, they have a half hour to get through there. So we started at 7, and by 7:30, we're into our regular agenda. I think that would be good.
Would you want this to precede the actual agenda?